Hello, my name is Amber Kelly. I'm back again with another tutorial. You are on the channel of Things of the Things. Today we are going to do a baby cocoon. So that's what this is. I will show you how to do this, which is pretty easy. Again, I'm in the stages of beginner friendly videos. So if you know somebody that wants to loom knit or that does loom knit and have a couple of questions, this would be the video for you, because I do have previous videos. So please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to hit your notification bell to make sure that you catch all of my videos. Okay, so like I said, we're doing a baby cocoon, which is in other terms, it is a baby sack, whichever terminology you want to use. I do use a round loom for mines. You can use a 41 peg loom, you can use a 31 peg loom, you can use I think the next one is 24. Now the 24, I would say a preemie would be able to fit in it, but it also would depend on this top portion of it. And then, like I said, you can make your cocoon as long as you want. I did this one on a 41 peg loom, and I will show you. So I'm going to start it off at 1 inches. And as you can see, it is at 20 inches. So mine's is at 20 inches, a little bit past. You could definitely go 21 inches. The normal baby is about that long, unless you have little babies, which there is nothing wrong with either. It's just personal preference, how long you want yours. So I'm going to quit rambling, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I am going to use and what you will need to use. This was done in Karen Big Cakes. I used 2 strands, so I still have 2 whole cakes left. I could actually do another one of these and probably can squeeze a hat out of it. So yeah. So today I'm going to use my mainstays yarn. I forgot what color this is, but I do remember this is mainstays yarn. And again, y'all know how I am. I'm going to use 1 skein of yarn, get one end from the middle, the other end from the outside. So you need to make sure you have your yarn, make sure you have your hook, your handy dandy hook. Make sure that you have a tapestry needle. Toward the end, when it's time to close it up, you will need a tapestry needle. So like I said, I like this one because it has the big opening to it. You will need a tape measure if you are wanting to know how long yours is and write about what inches that you want to stop at. So you will need that, and you will also need your looms. So like I said before, the one that I just showed you, I did it on a 41 peg loom. Now I'm going to have to redo my stitch markers, but you can also use this. This is a 31 peg loom. This would be for a newborn baby, and the next one under this would be for a preemie. So it's, like I said, it's all personal preference on what you want to use. During this tutorial, I will use the 41 peg loom, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my stitch markers off, because I will use for the brim. And making a cocoon is just like making an extra long hat. It is not that deep, and it's not that serious, and it is not complicated at all. So like I said, I'm just taking my stitch markers off. So again, because I have my anchor peg here and I don't start right here, I tend to start right here. Now if you want to start right here, if you watched my last video, I did talk about the laddering effect, and I did give out some good juicy niblets, good information, good pep talk, good everything. I think I went a little preachy on it, but I got good feedback, so make sure you watch that video. I will link it down below. So for this, I'm going to do knit 2, purl 2. So when I do my my stitch markers, the ones that have the stitch markers on, I knit those. Now knitting 2, purling 2, the purls I always leave empty because I don't want to have to grab the yarn and then I'm doing it with the stitch markers on here. So I'm just going to go all the way around and set my loom, and then you need to make sure that you have enough stitch markers. I do make stitch markers as well, and they are in my Etsy shop. I will leave my Etsy shop below. I will. Yes. So I haven't made one in cotton. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm just not extremely sure because cotton is kind of, it would be rough on a baby's skin. But I do recommend Karen's cotton cakes, the little ones. Now those are soft. Now those I would do a cocoon in. So as you can see, I'm back here where I have 3 empty pegs. Now working with a 41 peg loom, it just because it is an odd number, you're gonna have that third one. So these 3 I will purl. Don't trip, it's not a big deal. So purl 3, knit 2, purl 2. And like I said, because this is a 41 peg loom, I ended up with 3 empty ones right here. Okay, so I am going to, we're just going to do the regular slip knot. Now do that again. I do like this, and I just pull this up, put my finger right here, and actually you could just do that. But there are different ways to doing slip knots. It is not serious and it is not deep. Okay, so like I said, I'm just doing my regular E-wrapping. And as y'all know, I am a fan and I am an advocate for, this is your foundation. So technically I don't count this as a row. I do not count this as a row. Now when I start knitting off, then that's when I will start counting it as a row. And I also forgot to mention, you will need a row counter. Again, I am not one of those people that count their rows, but because I do tutorials, I am trying to get into the habit of doing such things. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to speed this up and I will be back when we are ready to start knitting off. Okay, we are back. So now that we have wrapped the loom around, you are at the point now where you have one that is this is the last one you have wrapped. So now you need to wrap the rest of it. But as I said before in the video before this one, to not wrap your pegs all at once, because I did insert a clip where it says no laddering allowed. So, and again, the ones that we have the stitch markers on, those are the ones that we are going to knit off. And for the ones that do not have a stitch marker on, we are going to purl. So we're just going to keep going, and at this point make sure you have your stitch marker. It is on 0. We're going to press 1, because now I count this as a row. Now you could do it however you want to, but when first wrapping my pegs, I don't count that as a row. I know some people do. To me, this is row 1. Okay, and like I said, you're just going to keep going around. And with this one, you only can do 2 pegs at a time, unless you were not doing a purl. Now if you was not doing a purl, then I would not recommend wrapping your whole loom first. I would recommend no more than 5 or 6 pegs at a time. If you are unsure, you can go look at my last video that I did, and like I said, I did insert a clip where you will have that laddering effect, and that is not cute. Most of my hats had laddering effects when I first started looming. That was because I didn't know any better, and I was following everybody else. Well, everybody else's method did not work for me. So like I said, this works for me wrapping if I'm not doing purl. Like I said before, if I'm not doing purl, then I could wrap anywhere from 5 to 6 and comfortably. So like I said, this is considered for me row 1, and you can make the brim of your cocoon as thick as you want it to be. You can make it not so many rows. I like that kind of thick look to my cocoon, but like I said, it's personal preference. So like I said, we just keep going. This is knit 2, purl 2, and with the 41 peg loom, you will have that, because it is an odd number, you will have 3 that you don't know what to do with, and those you would basically purl, because they will not have a stitch marker on them. I'm sorry, I'm starting to have the worst case of the mom brain. Can't hardly remember anything. So like I said, we're coming up on row 2 the way that I do it. We're coming up, and I only hit my row counter when I wrap right here. That's where that is where the stitch markers are. So as you can see, you have 3 that do not have any stitch markers on them, because remember, we did purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, and then you would just have this one that doesn't have a stitch marker on them. Well, you're just going to purl all 3 and go back to your regular pattern. So And we are down to the last purl before we start row 2. So like I said, I wrap it, then I hit my row counter, and I am at row 2. I got a bunch of these. I think it was eBay. But you can go to your local Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure it has it. You can go online, Amazon. Everybody has them. But I think I got mine. I got 10 or something. They were like $1 and some change. Maybe less than that. It's been a while. But they came in a lot of different colors. And yeah. And because everybody knows, I'm sorry if you hear dishes in the back. Everybody knows that I love purple. So it would only make sense that my row counter is purple. So like I said, we're going to keep going, and you can do this according to how many rows you want, how thick of a brim you want the cocoon to be. Yeah. So like I said, I'm going to keep going, and when I come back, I will give you the number of how many rows I did for the brim of the cocoon, and we will go from there. I will tell you about the body part. Now, it's 2 ways that you can do the body part. You can either keep going with the same pattern, or you can E-wrap it all. Now, if you E-wrap it all, that's where I will get to tell you about the laddering effect. And I will do the E-wrapping for the body part just because I want you to see that I literally do not wrap no more than 5 or 6 pegs at a time. Just because I don't want to go back and have to do extra work. Why do extra work when you can just do it right the first time? That's my motto. My time is very precious, so I have to do what I can and do it well. So like I said, we're gonna finish this row. And like I said, this is mainstays yarn, and I forgot the name of this yarn, but this is mainstays yarn. Now for a cocoon, you can use Barnett baby blanket. It will be thicker, and the yarn tends to break easy. So just be careful with that if you do use Barnett blanket baby yarn. Yeah, like I said, the only yarn that I would not suggest would be cotton yarn, unless you are using Karen's the little cupcakes. Now those are soft, but you would need a lot of those, and Karen big cakes. But yeah, just straight out cotton. And then you could possibly use Hobby Lobby's cotton. Their cotton is soft, so just keep that in mind when doing cocoons for babies. Cotton is rather harsh to their skin. So this is row 3, and I'm going to hit my row counter, and I will meet you back when we are done with the brim. Okay, so we are back. So I wanted to stop right quick because I am on row 29. So I'm going to do 30 rows for the brim for the cocoon. Now this cocoon almost is at almost 5 inches. I would say 4.5 inches. You can see where it's stopping right there. So like I said, you can make this as big as you want. You can customize it to however you want it to go. It's totally up to you. So yeah, so like I said, we are on the 29th row, so we're technically on row 30. So I'm going to wrap this, and I can hit this, and I'm on row 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit to purl. So if you don't know how to purl, or if I was going too fast, I will slow down. You pick this up with your hook, and you just pick that working yarn up, swoop it up, pick it up or swoop it up, however you want to say it. Pull it, do it again. Slide it down, pick it up. And I got this loom from Hobby Lobby, so you can go on their website. And like I said, we're just going to follow the pattern. Now, I have a weird tendency of changing things up, so I'm not going to do this cocoon, this same color all the way through, because I do want to make a hat. And if you want to see me make a hat, I will do a separate tutorial for that. Yeah, so like I said, if you want to see me do that, I will do a separate tutorial. And like I said, I'm just going to follow the pattern all the way through. But I wanted to have enough of this yarn left over so I can incorporate the hat as well. I want it to be nice color change blocks, stripes, good nice chunks, or however you want to say it. So I'm going to do this color, and because I have a whole lot of this color, white. So you will get in this tutorial also how to change colors, how you are doing your e-wrapping, how you are doing your purling. You get all of that in one video. Can we say amazing? And as you can tell by the lighting, this is definitely nighttime. Yeah, I definitely have to film around my family's schedule because they can be a little loud, which is totally normal when I'm the only female in the house. So yes, and we haven't been getting any like definite sunshine. It's been raining here. I don't know where spring is hiding, but it has not shown up to Chicago yet, so I'm still putting on coats and scarves because I'm freezing all of the time. So yes, but yeah, if you're running a business and you're trying to keep inventory up, make sure you work all year round. I have a whole tote in a bag worth of inventory, the way I don't have to work as hard next winter. I can work at my own leisure. And yeah, so we are done because we did 30 rows. Okay, so initially how I changed my colors is that I would cut a piece and I would tie it down to here, and I would just go all the way around and just keep working. So yeah, we're just going to do that. Like I said, I want to tie the white on here, so I just cut off enough. To where I'm able to grab it and to actually tie it up. So like I said, this is Karen's 1 pound. Everybody knows you can get this from Joann's, Michael's. I'm not sure if Hobby Lobby carries this. I'm not sure. And as you all know, I do get one end from the middle, and I get another end from the outside, just because I don't like to have 50 million skeins of yarn all over my floor. Okay, now it doesn't matter which one that you get, because it's all basically twisted up, but it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a knot, and let me try to zoom in so you can see. Okay, so excuse my nails. What I'm going to do is I got the white and this minty green looking color. I'm just going to tie that down and try to bring this down as far as I can to the bottom. And because this is my yarn that is going to stay on here, and this is the longest yarn, I'm going to pull that green all the way down and pull on my white yarn. So I just want to get it as close as I can to that loom. And as you can see, it's quite close. It's quite close. It could be closer. So make sure when you are doing your knots, you're getting it as close as possible. Okay? So like I said, I'm going to do the next one, which is the one next to it. And I'm going to grab that yarn. And like I said, this is my way of doing it. If you found another way that works for you, please, please, please do that. I'm not saying this is the only way, and this is the, if you don't do it this way, all your projects are going to be ugly. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just showing you what works for me. And yeah, so now we have all of these. We have two ends, and kind of zoom back out. Okay, we have the working yarn, and we have 4 pieces of uneven yarn right here. So we're going to leave that alone for right now, because technically we're probably going to weave that in. You know what I forgot? We forgot to fold our brim, but we still can do that. We didn't need the extra green yarn to do that, so we just skipped a step. But because we started right here, the one that has the stitch marker. We're just going to put all of our loops back on. I'm glad I thought about that. Sorry. Like I said, every loop should be placed back on a peg. So there should be four pieces of yarn. So like I said, you just keep going all the way around. That was that mom brain kicking in. Like I said, you can use your loom, or you can use your loop like I'm using. I mean, use your loom, your hook. Oh my gosh. Or you can use your fingers like I'm doing. So like I said, I'm just going all the way through. We didn't need that extra yarn, so we just did a step early, because all we're basically doing is we're just knitting over now. So move that. So we're just taking the bottom two, taking them over to the top, taking the bottom two over the top, and you just have to make sure that you pick up two when you're knitting over, because it can be easy. It can get easy to leave a piece of yarn off, because that has happened to me quite a few times. So just make sure you're picking up two. And also, you can watch the video first all the way through, or you can just go along, and you also have that option where you can speed it up or slow it down. You can even skip some seams, whichever one floats your boat. But I hope that you will all stick around and listen all the way through. Share this video with your friends. Let's get to at least 500 subscribers, and then the next big number is 1,000 subscribers. So that will be extra cool. And as you can see, we have more yarn right here, which is totally fine. Don't freak out. Nothing is going to happen. So now we're just going to put those 4 pieces of yarn in the front, or on top of this. And now we're just going to E-wrap. And this is where I said that I highly suggest no more than 4 or 5. No more than. And use your hook to push these down. Please do not use your hands, because I've heard many times people say they have hurt in their hands, or the hands hurt, fingertips hurt. Don't use them. Use your hook to push it down. Works out way better. Now, if you were going to follow up with the pattern, which is the knit 2 purl 2, and you wanted to change colors, always knit just like I'm doing, so you won't have that tic-tac-toe type of feel going on. And then after you E-wrap, then you go back and follow the pattern. So say if you wanted to do knit 2 purl 2, do just like I'm doing right now, which I am E-wrapping all the way through first, and then you go back and then you knit 2 purl 2. It makes the color change seamless. Definitely won't notice it as much as if you change the color and you go directly into that pattern. And like I said, you can start your row counter over, which I'm going to do. So like I said, because to me this is a foundation, I do not count this as a row. The next time that I go back in front where that first peg is, then that's when I will count that as a row. But when I'm doing color changes, I do not count that row as a row. Again, it's like starting all over again. I call that my foundation. So like I said, 30 for the brim of your cocoon. And if you want to do it one solid color, then the numbers that I would have, you would just do that all the way through. And if you want to know how long you're doing it, please have your tape measure next to you so you can know. said, to me, this is row 1 until I get back to that yarn that has, to that first peg that has one peg that has the 1 stitch marker on it. So you can either do 2 things. You can keep going, you can E-wrap this all the way through, or you can go back and you can follow this pattern, which would be knit 2, purl 2. I'm actually going to do the knit 2, purl 2. So I'm knitting 2. I'm going to restart my stitch marker, but just know that you did do 30 for your brim, so you might want to have something to write that down. So restart, and I'm going to hit 1. So knit 2, purl 2. So like I said, that first row that we did, I do not count that. This is actually my first row. So like I said, I'm going to follow this pattern all the way through. I'm going to do nice little sections of the white and the green, just because that is the only skein of that mainstay yarn that I have. So I want to make sure that I have enough to do a hat to go with it as well. So that's why I chose a second color to contrast with this. And then with the green, I may do just all E-wrap. Like I said, it's basically up to you, however you want your cocoon to look. Your cocoon does not have to look exactly like mine's, okay? And also, I will be adding a bow, or I will add, I'm not exactly sure, but I could do a bow, or I could just add a button, which I'm probably going to do the button. Or I may just do the bow, because I know some people are iffy about buttons, but if you put them on there right, you won't have to worry about the buttons coming off, because I use hair nylon thread. When I used to wear weaves and was doing my sew-ins, that yarn is, well, that nylon thread, it holds really good. So I do recommend using nylon thread when you are trying to sew something onto your projects and you don't want them to come off of your projects, or you don't want your thread to break. Nylon does not break. Using regular thread, I found myself having to sew on stuff longer. Does not take a whole lot of nylon thread, and it's black. I think you can get it in white, I'm not exactly sure. But yes, Google nylon thread. But I know for sure a spool is like $1.99 at your local beauty supply store. So, yes. And I'm going to show you what to do with all that yarn that was hanging over. So you will end up needing a crochet hook, or you can use your tapestry needle, whichever one is near you and works for you the best. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here, and you see how we have this yarn that's just sitting there. Guess what? You can either cut this off, or, and this was just coming from where the slip knot was. So like I said, I will show you how I do it again. Let me put out a disclaimer. You do not have to do it my exact way. I am just merely showing you what I do. So I'm trying to find this. Okay. So I got this idea from somebody. I use crochet hooks. Yes, for somebody that does not know how to crochet, I have crochet hooks. So I'm just going to stick this in one of the loops, and I'm going to bring it right here, and I'm going to snag. And I'm just going to put my hook, move this out the way. So you can see it's kind of still hanging out, so I'm just going to put this in there a little bit closer, and I'm just going to put it out again, and I'm just going to grab it. And now you don't see it anymore. Okay, so like I said, you can do this for these 4 loops, or you could just tie a knot and cut it off. I don't want to, so I'm just going to grab all 4, and I'm just going to do it just like I did the brim of it. And you can see there are 2 little pieces still hanging out, so I'm just going to go back in there again, and I'm going to kind of like hook it on there. And there you go. So now you don't see it. Now you see this part, but you could always go back in there too, and you can pull that down in there. So now you see nothing. So now you just have two. So like I said, I'm going to do a couple of rows of the white in the knit 2, purl 2, and remember these at the end before you start back on your pattern, you're going to purl. So I will be back. Okay, we are back. So we have done 10 rows of the white part. So this is where I was saying that if you don't, when you first change your colors, that you need to do your first, like your foundation and all E-wrap. Because if you just went straight for the pattern after you changed the color, this part would be showing on the outside. And as you can see, it's not showing. So you want this part to show on the inside, because the inside doesn't really matter. It's the outside that counts. So like I said, we done 10 rows of the white, and we just followed the pattern, knit 2, purl 2. So this is where I'm going to change the color again. I'll change it on the empty peg. So again, I'm just going to cut some yarn. You can keep going with the pattern, or you can just do all E-wrap, or you could do the pattern, then do E-wrap, do the pattern, then do E-wrap. But if you do the pattern, then you do E-wrap, and then you go back to the pattern. Remember, when you change that color again, or when you go back to this pattern, do all E-wrap first, then do your pattern. So like I said, we're going to change colors, and I'm going to get this, and I'm just going to go back and forth between these two colors, doing 10 rows. So like I said, you can make this as long as you want to, but just make sure all of your rows have 10 rows in them. Again, like I said, make sure you have your tape measure out so you can measure it, because you can do this as long as you want, as short as you want. It is all personal preference. I'm not saying if you don't do it my way, it's the wrong way. Have to put my disclaimers out, because people will take your word and run with it. So you do not have to do it necessarily the way that I do. And even if you have a different way of doing your color changes, then by all means do what works for you. I'm just showing you what I do and just try to be of some assistance. So these, you need to get the little ones on the inside, and like I said, because I'm changing colors, I'm doing E-wrap. This does not count as a row, so I'm not going to start my row counter over yet. And remember, you need to push these down. Do not wrap no more than 4 or 5. That's the most. Do not wrap this whole thing, because you will have a laddering effect, like I said before. So we're just going to keep going. And I'm actually going to keep going with the pattern. So this will be an all knit 2, purl 2 cocoon. But like I said, you could have done this all E-wrap, and just like I said, do not wrap no more than 5 or 6 pegs. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to keep going back and forth between the colors. So how I change the colors. That is exactly what I'm going to do every time I change a color. Every time. And like I said, I'm going back to this pattern after I change this color. I'll E-wrap first, and then I'm going to go back, hit my row counter, and count that as my starting row. I always count this as a foundation, because you have to start somewhere to continue. So like I said, I'm going to do this, show you again, and then when I come back, I will be at the bottom and we will tie this off. And you will have a cocoon, and I think I'm going to make mine about 19 inches, maybe 20, because the average baby, unless it's a preemie or something like that, is about 21 inches, because I know my babies were 20 and 21 inches. So I'll just do 20, and we will come back and tie this off. Okay, now I'm back where I started, so I'm going directly back to that pattern where I knit 2, purl 2, and remember, all 3 of these you're going to purl because this is an odd number. Okay, so knit 2, purl 2. Okay, up and grab your row counter, start it over. So that was row 1. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to keep going, and when I get to my last row of completing this, I will come back and we will bind this off, and we will do our last row together. And yes, so I will see you when I finish at the last row. Okay, so we are back now. So I want to show you how much I have done so far. So like I said, I just kept going with the pattern. My mind was like all over the place, but like I said, it was knit 2, purl 2. I did the greenish, mint greenish, the white, mint greenish, white, mint greenish, white, mint greenish, white. And again, every time that I did change the colors, I start off with E-wrapping, then I do the pattern, then I E-wrap when putting on a new color, go with the pattern, do the same thing over and over and over. And like I said, it should look like this in the inside. So these, they will be kind of like loose a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, so it will kind of be like loose, so you will have a knot on this side and a knot on this side. All I did was tie my knots up. That way it was tight. You can't see where I started. You can't see. So where these knots are, like I said, you can't see it. So what you want to do is tie these in a knot, and then like I said, go ahead and trim these off. Once your knot is secure and you know that it's not coming off, clip these ends off, okay? So like I said, I did that, and I did 30 rows. If I'm not mistaken, it was 30. Ooh, let me zoom back out. Okay, 30 rows of this. So I did 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows, 10 rows. So I alternated. There were 10 rows a piece. Okay. So now I'm getting ready to cast it off, and You could do a decreasing, or you can do just a regular drawstring cast off, whichever one is better for you. It doesn't really matter to me, just because this is going to be knitted off, so it doesn't really matter. I don't want this video to be extra long, so I'm just going to go ahead and knit this off. And like I said, you just cut you off enough to go around your loom and then some more. So I want to bring my yarn all the way around and then kind of like halfway over, because you're going to need to weave in your ends. So to weave in that end, you're gonna have to have something to weave in, but you just cut you off enough to get ready to close this off. Just go ahead and close this off. Go through each peg. You don't necessarily have to take them all off at the same time. You could pull it through each peg and then go back and take it off, but I just take it off as I go. Like I said, there was 10 rows of each color. Of each color. Then like I said, the brim, you can have the brim as wide as you want it to be. Total preference. You do not have to do E-wrap and knit to purl to for the body of the cocoon. You could actually do the whole E-wrap on what I did, like I did the other one. But now, because this is kind of like a scrunchy type deal, this is about 19 inches long, maybe 20 at the most. But a baby definitely has time to grow in this. And the cocoon is not tight. If anything, it will stay on, so you don't have to worry about it falling off. Yeah. So if you want to know how to decrease, go ahead and watch the hat video, because I did decrease on the hat video. So if you want to decrease for your cocoon, you can use that method, or you could just use this. Like I said, I'm showing you what works for me, what I do. You are not obligated to follow my instructions. Oops. And I did decide not to do the button on the cocoon. I did do a bow. So I will do the bow. Like, I'll show you how to do that. Once I do that, I'll put music on for that part. And I did make a hat. And now for the hat, I did follow the same pattern for the hat, just because I wanted to all match. So once I'm done doing this, I will turn on music and I will finish the rest, and then that will be the cocoon and the hat. And again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. My ultimate goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. We are almost at 500. So let's share. Let's post in these groups. Let's post on your personal wall. And I'll show you how I close this off as well. And it's the same thing that I would do for a hat. The same thing I actually did for this little baby hat over here, how I closed it off. And like I said, you can add any type of embellishments to the brim if you want to. But if you do it, please make sure that it's on there secure. We don't want any accidents. That's why I just decided to do a bow. Because I know my bow is not going anywhere. Now, I know my button wouldn't go anywhere, but not everybody likes buttons on babies' items. So that is a hazardous issue. So just be mindful of that. And like I said, we're just closing this off. So I'm going to turn this inside out. And I'm just going to pull it. And this is how you want it to be. You want it to be really closed to where you cannot see in it. I'm going to cut this down a little bit. Okay. Just because I don't need all that extra, really. So like I said, put my tapestry needle and I'm just going to go in the circles. I'm going to follow this specific pattern right here, this little nodule, I call it. That's where I want it to be. And as I'm putting the needle through there, every time I take it out, I'm going to pull, just to ensure that it is on here tightly and that the baby does not fall through the cocoon, because we don't want any babies falling through any cocoons, because that is a lawsuit waiting to happen, and I can't afford any lawsuits, and I love the babies. So yes, and you just keep going around and around and around until you feel that it is secure and that you're comfortable with letting it go. And like I said, you pull. Do not be afraid to pull as you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to close this off. So I pull again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull each string, and I'm just going to tie it in a knot, tie it in another knot, and I got another trick. So take one string, put it in the tapestry needle, put it through there, and put it on the opposite side. So, well, not opposite side, but go through the loop, go through that little circle again, and we'll go through this one, pull it, and tie it in a knot, because now it's in two separate places. And we are done. You can cut that off, and it's not going anywhere. And like I said, go back and cut these off once you have tied them, and voila. And like I said, you just pull it as you go. But this is the baby cocoon, okay? Like I said, I used a 41 peg loom, that was all she wrote. And like I said, I made a bow, so I'm going to put the bow right there, and I made a little baby hat. And this is the loom that I use. Again, this is Hobby Lobby, so this is what I use for baby hats. So this is how that came out. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to fast forward or turn the music on, tie this on here, and tie this on here, and that'll be the cocoon. So again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please do not forget to make sure that your notifications are on and that you are subscribed. Until next time, happy looming.